And I've been telling you from the jump, I just want to fight everyone. I'm on, like smoke, as they say.
You know shit about boxing.
Hi there, I'm Danny Flex and welcome to episode 15 of You Don't Know Shit About Boxing, a podcast brought to you by the team behind SecondsOut. And after missing her for a fortnight, we're joined once again by my superlative co-host, Miss Georgia Banks.
Don't attack me.
Let's see how you get on.
Yeah, nice to be back.
Welcome back indeed. This week we're going to be talking about do we call it Eubank versus Benn 3? I'm not sure, but the clash between the sons of legendary fathers, which takes place on October the 8th. But before we get into all of that, we've got a very special guest.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the reigning, defending, two-time British middleweight champion from Battersea, Denzel Bentley!
Are you on the shrinking chair today?
Yeah, I am.
Just so that instantly just went down.
We're all the same height here.
Hi, you okay?
I'm all good.
Good,
You guys?
welcome.
British champion.
Yes.
Didn't bring the belt, it's all right.
Oh, I've had to give it back to the board, innit?
Oh, yeah.
So they can engrave the names and all that stuff.
We had this conversation last time though. Have you not bought a replica yet?
Nah.
Can they not just put like ×2 as your name's already on there? Just like, yeah, get rid of Felix Cash's name.
Scratch out.
How's it going? Coming off a big win against Marcus Morrison. Best performance of your career, what do you think?
If that's what people say, then yeah.
What do you think?
I think it was a good performance. I think I enjoyed it. I was comfortable, but maybe between that and the F1 performance.
That was a good one though.
Yeah, that was a good one. So
The second one?
Yeah, of course, the second one, yeah.
The first one was pretty good.
The first one was good, yeah, but the second one was better.
Marcus Morrison. I mean, Marcus was brave and really brought it, certainly in the first round, but it just seemed like after round one, there was only going to be one winner.
Yeah. He caught me with a good shot. Even the first round, it was like he caught me with like 2 good shots in the whole round. Can you get someone around for that? Don't know, it's up to the judges, innit? But I still think I won the first round, and obviously he just he had not, like, without being rude, he had no chance of going forward from there.
And we've talked about this on interviews and stuff before, but just for people out there who haven't heard about it, just tell us kind of the journey, how you first got into boxing and to where you are now. The shortened version, I guess.
Well, yeah, long story short, 15, my brother bought gloves from the market, came home, me, him, a couple of friends just put on the gloves, used to fight each other outside. Then when I got to college, met a friend that actually boxed, then took me to the gym, and then I'm here today.
How much older or younger is your brother?
He's 3 years older than me.
So how did those early kind of sparring sessions go?
I didn't really spar him, like, we spar other people. So, like, someone might want to fight us, and then we'd be like, okay, cool. He'll get his gloves, he'll go first, and then I go second, or I go first, because however it goes. But we did spar once in the house, and there was no one at home. And it ended with a lot of blood, but... Like,
whose blood?
Both of us.
Oh, okay.
We both started bleeding, but...
What did your mum say?
She wasn't at home. So
What did she say when she got home and saw your faces mashed to bits?
Enough. She didn't really see much. She just, like, bust noses.
Nose
like,
half around
you
the
just clean that up, and it's like she didn't really notice, but yeah, fixed up the house. And
How did it go from kind of brawling and messing around to becoming an actual thing that you thought you could do?
Because when my friend was boxing at the gym, I was one of those guys like, yeah, I can box, I can do that. And then I went to the gym, got beat up, and I thought, all right, cool, I can't leave it there, I got to keep coming. Because that's a bit of pride. And then I just ended up getting better, and then as I got better, people would say, oh, how many bouts? I'd be like, I've had none. Oh, you're good for someone with no bouts. And I'm like, how good is someone with no bouts meant to be? So, and I just kind of carried on because everyone kept saying, you're decent for the level you're meant to be at. So,
What age when you had your first fight?
19.
Amateur? 19?
Really?
19, yeah. Late.
Did you have any kind of consideration about that? Did you have an idea that was late to start?
Yeah, well, at the beginning, I didn't really know nothing about amateur boxing. I didn't even know there was amateur boxing. So I remember when I first went to the gym, I was there for a bit, and I asked the coach, like, how long till I can turn pro? And he just started laughing at me, like, you've got a long way to go, you ain't even had an amateur fight yet. And I was like, all right, cool, let's do that then. So I knew it was quite late, because obviously you find out that these guys have been boxing from kids, and when you get there, you see little kids boxing and stuff. That's for professional of you. Well, but yeah, so you see these little kids there, and obviously you know, like, all sports really and truly, like people start from kids and stuff. So I knew it was a bit late, but it didn't really faze me or bother me or nothing like that.
Did you do any other sport before that?
Yeah, I was playing football. Yeah.
I was going to say that was the virtual assistant. It's because it's responding to you. It thinks you're asking a question. So it's like, I don't have to turn it off. It's been doing it for about 2 weeks now. Every time I raise my voice, it's like,
It answers back.
it's like shouting at my son, you know. Do you need any help with the discipline? You know, something like that. But yeah, apologies for lack of professionalism. So how long were you doing the amateur side before you thought this could be a career rather than just something you enjoyed?
I was doing it for a while. I was amateur for 3 years. Only had 17 fights. But then like during that last year, I was like, I want to move forward. I think what really pushed me to turn professional was I asked my coach to put me in ABAs. And he was kind of like, and ahhing, acting like he didn't know when it was. Like, it's in April, you have to enter, blah, blah, blah. Box in the club show, and then if you win, we'll put you in. But then the ABA started in March. So I remember missing the ABAs and I thought, I'm not waiting another year. Let me see if I could turn pro. So I had a talk with, obviously I was training at Peacock at the time. With Ray was my amateur coach, Fishers anyway, but he used to go at he used to go at Peacocks with Martin because he had Alan Higgins.
So that's Ray Ball.
Yeah, Ray Ball.
Bit of an unsung hero.
Yeah, Ray Ball. So he brought me over to the Peacocks, was training with Martin Bowers and stuff, and then I had a talk with them saying, I think I want to turn pro. They said, do a bit more than amateur, it's hard, you'll win something, we can probably get you a better deal. I went back and I just went feeling it and I just said, listen, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not feeling it. I definitely think I want to turn pro. So that's when I started my journey.
The first Heffron fight seemed like a bit of a jump.
Yeah.
Like early in your career, was it a thing to kind of match you gradually because you hadn't had that amateur experience?
No, not really. I think after my first fight and then the second fight, it all ended in the first round and the third fight actually. So I was like, can you like match me a little bit harder? Like I want a bit more of a fight. And then they started matching me a little bit harder. And I think my fifth fight was when I went the distance for the first time. And then after that, continued the knockout streak. But it was like, I want a few more harder matchups because I've been sparring in the gym with like top guys, and I thought, I'm better than what they're putting me in with. So I did want to be pushed quite quickly. But then the Heffron fight came about because of lockdown, really. But it was asked of me like a year before that. And then lockdown, it was like everyone needed to make fights. People were inactive, people needed to get active, but it was hard to fly people in to get opponents and stuff. So then they just got offered to me. And I just said, yeah.
What have you watched more, the first Heffron fight, which had a contentious decision, or the Felix Cash fight, which is your only defeat?
I've only watched that Felix Cash one like once.
Oh,
Twice
really?
by accident, but once.
Twice by accident?
Yeah.
What, the whole fight?
Well, it was on BT Sports top 10 fights of the year. And that wasn't the picture, display picture, whatever you call it. Or the thumbnail, rather.
They tricked you.
And then I thought, bro, what's this? First fight on there was me and Cash. I said, damn, let's just go through it and then see what else they have. So, yeah.
What about the Heffron one then? Did you watch that?
No, I watched that a few times. I watched it a few times just to like score it. Like, right, how did they score it a draw? I was literally just baffled me, but I watched that a few times, yeah.
Did you ever have it even close to a draw any of the times you watched it after?
No, I thought I won, especially with the early knockdown and stuff, but whatever, innit?
Well, you certainly, underlined your dominance in the second fight.
Yeah, I think like, of course, I didn't want to draw that, but I think it worked out better that the first one was a draw because the second fight was for the British. If I'd just got the decision for that, I don't know who I'd have been fighting next for whatever.
And then the Felix Cash fight.
Yeah.
I know it's probably not something you're desperate to talk about, but
It doesn't matter.
Look back on it now, what are the things you pinpoint that you'd like to have done differently?
A whole load of things, everything, really. Like, even like before the fight, like during camp and stuff, just a whole load of things that it's just kind of long to get into right now, but a whole load of things.
Can you tell us any of it? Like a couple of things?
In the fight, I wasn't relaxed at all. I was just a little bit too jumpy, I was over-responding to his pressure, which I could have, done a lot better with, as you've seen. And I was just thrown off. I was just all mad. It was just a whole mad time, but it is what it is, isn't it?
Is it one of those where you look at him now and think you'd really like him to go on and win a world title or something like that?
100%. Just so I can get a rematch of him. I've heard things about, he's not really right in his career. He's been stop-start career. I don't want him to fall off. I want him to do well so I can get a rematch.
That's good. And now, with the Morrison one, you're right back up there. You talked immediately after the fight about world level. What's the next step logically for you?
Well, the next step is moving forward, isn't it? Just anything close to world level. Obviously, of course, as you know, there's things have been leaked. There's talks with Janibek and stuff, so that'll be an interesting fight, and I'm ready to, I'm ready to compete at that level.
Would you make
I feel like I am anyway.
What do you make of Janibek?
I think he's a good fighter. I think he's a very good fighter. Otherwise, what's the point of saying his name? It's easy to just, you could just call out any fighter that you don't really rate, that are rubbish. And I think, even though through my career, I don't call out fighters that I don't rate. So yeah. Well,
People like calling you out though.
Yeah, they do.
The most randomest people.
But hey, let's see what you do, innit?
And you, to start your second reign, you defeated Linus Adofia, which may end up on Channel 5's top fights of the year, just as the BT one, because it was a very good fight to watch. And Georgia, I probably should have been aware anyway, but Georgia was saying you've since sparred Linus as well.
Yeah, I have. I sparred him once. I've done a few more rounds with Brad Pools, but Linus came down once to help me as well in his camp, which I really appreciate. Good guy. Give me some tips as well. Yeah.
Is that a usual thing that you'd spar people you fought previously? I guess you don't want to spar people you think you're going to fight, but afterwards...
Not really, sparring is sparring, so I don't really care, if I'm being honest, unless like the person's been talking rubbish. Like, so if someone's been saying, I want to fight him, I'd be like, okay, cool, let's not spar. But if someone's a potential opponent down the line, it's like, all right, cool, it doesn't really matter. And after fights, it doesn't really matter neither to me. But Linus was cool. That's why when my team said they're going to reach out to him, I said, all right, cool, yeah, let's go for it. But even since the Heffron fight, Heffron reached out to me for sparring. It didn't actually happen. I said, yeah, whatever. But I'm not really too bothered about sparring and fighting. It's different, isn't it?
Is there a spar that sticks out since you've turned pro that you learned the most from or that you enjoyed the most?
Yeah, well, not since I turned pro, but since I started training at Peacock, Ahmed Patterson and Larry Akindale, I've learned the most from them two. Yeah, them two guys.
Will Ahmed ever come back, do you think?
No. He'll never come back. He's done.
Fair enough. Now, this week's topic, coming up next week, the big fight is, of course, Eubank versus Benn. Do we call it 3? I don't know. But it is a match between sons of legendary fathers and kind of perpetuating that rivalry that gripped us all. I say us all, I'm older than the other two people here, that gripped me when I was a young person. I actually was a kid once. So yeah, big fight,
Big fight
in terms of, money and attention. Is it a good fight? I guess is the bigger question.
We have to wait and see, innit? I don't know. I'm not expecting a madness. I'm expecting a good competitive fight. Like, both fighters are going to try their best. But if we're being realistic, a good big guy always beats a good small guy. And I think Conor Benn might be a little bit too small. He's dangerous though. He's explosive. But I don't know if that weight cut kind of affects Chris Eubank. Then we're yet to see, some sort of adversity in that fight. But I think Eubank should win this quite easily. And that's no disrespect to Conor. I just think Eubank's just too big and he knows what he's doing, and he's just a little guy, innit?
There's been a lot of talk about the rehydration clause.
Yeah.
Do you put on a lot of weight between the weigh-in and the fight?
No, I don't put on a madness. I'm not one of them guys that try to put on a lot of weight. I just blow up to where I feel comfortable. If it's heavier than usual, then that's why I'm comfortable. If it's not that heavy, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm a bit light, let me try to put on more. It's just wherever I'm comfortable is what I hydrate to.
What do you think about rehydration clauses generally?
I think it's a waste of time. I think if you're not going to do it all across the board for every fighter, then it's a waste of time, innit? Like, don't pick and choose when you want to put a rehydration clause on fights. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. But if you're not going to do it all across the board, then just forget about it.
Makes sense.
Your promoter, Frank Warren's been quite outspoken about the fight. We put a clip out from a recent interview up yesterday that got a lot of attention, where he said it's dangerous to put rehydration clauses in, especially for Eubank Jr, who's I think 32, 33 now, hasn't made less or lower than 160 in quite some time. He's got to make 157 and then be limited on his rehydration. Yeah,
that is dangerous. That is dangerous, and that's probably why his dad came out and said what he said. Do you know what I mean? But he's comfortable. He knows what weight he can make. He's training with a smile on his face, so it doesn't look like it's affecting him too much. But it is dangerous. Like, come on, you're draining yourself or restricting yourself to like the lowest weight possible you can get to, and then you can't put nothing back on. That is dangerous. But like I said, like, I think the IBF do it best with the £10 limit, because then you're not doing too much. You're not doing £10. That's fair. But to strip yourself down to the lowest weight possible and not be able to rehydrate properly, it's not safe at all. You need to be hydrated. Your brain sits in fluid. If there's no fluid in your brain and there's not, dehydrated, it hits against your skull. That's how you get bleeds in the brain and stuff. So, they just got to be careful with what they're doing. Obviously, I said it to you before, I think this fight's just like a whatever fight. It doesn't mean anything apart from obviously the legacies of their dad, but yeah, whatever they're doing, they're earning a lot of money, so go get your money.
Georgia, this fight, Denzel mentioned it just there. Chris Eubank Jr.'s father was quite vocal in saying he'd actually pulled him out of the fight. That doesn't seem to be the case now, and he's the man in the corner. So what was he just trying to get more attention? Was it, because he talks about his son Seb, who sadly passed away recently. So he seems like he was sincere, at least at the time.
I think he's got every right as a parent to be concerned. Didn't Eubank Jr. come out and say that he's not actually seen his dad or spoken to his dad about it, so he's not kind of paying any attention to it? Is what I read. I do think Eubank Jr. is playing the game very well, like getting shots of him eating popcorn, KFC.
Oh, yeah.
What did he put on his Instagram the other day? He was like in a restaurant eating a big bit of cake, and I'm thinking, surely you didn't swallow that. Surely you just spat that back out.
He spat it out as soon as the camera was off.
And I think he's just playing the game really well. But I think it would be a shame if it didn't go ahead. It's had a lot of, what's it called, like oomph.
Hype.
That's the word I was looking for. Don't worry, I went for oomph.
Do you ever resent it, Denzel, in that, you're working hard, you're beating credible opposition, and then you see a fight that, as you said, doesn't really mean much from a boxing perspective, but they're getting a huge amount of money, a huge amount of spotlight?
Oh, don't ask him. He wants to go into like YouTube fights.
No chance.
What?
But no, I don't resent it. Like, if you've got the platform to make that money, go and make your money, innit? That's not your fault that I'm not generating as much money as you. That's my job. I've got to build myself to a stage, or any fighter's job for that matter. I can't say, oh, I've worked hard and I don't get this. That's not how life works. But it's just not how it works. These guys have built, a platform to be able to generate that much money. So go get your money.
Yeah, I mean, their dads have helped build the platform.
Their dads have definitely helped.
That is an effect.
But I mean, that's all across the board for you, like YouTube fights or Jake Paul, whoever it may be. Like, I've kind of put this fight in that category without being disrespectful, apart from the fact that they're both boxers. But there's no one moves up the rankings from this. No one. It's just a fight, isn't it? Like, it's a lose-lose for Eubank and a win-win for Conor, basically.
Has anyone ever spoken to you, whether it's a promoter, manager, whatever, about kind of reaching out beyond the boxing fans? So do this and you'll get more attention, whether it's calling someone out, whether it's doing a certain appearance in a different sport or a different arena?
Yeah, but I always say no. Not from like promoters and stuff, but just from other people. Like, oh, you need to do something. No, that's not me. I'm not forcing that. I would just say no.
It's good. Stay true to yourself.
You just can't do it, innit?
But also, you don't really like the spotlight like that either.
Yeah, no, not too much. Not too much. No, it's a bit.
Well, then we're honoured that you're here in that case.
I did speak to him before. I was like, please come on.
Anything to do with boxing, I'm involved, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know, just going outside and like just being like spotted too much is a bit much for me still. But like anyone that, respects what I'm doing, listen, enjoyed your fight, I respect it and I take it on board. But that kind of famous lifestyle, I don't think I'm into that.
Do you find that you kind of only have that within the boxing community though, or do you go out and like people that don't know boxing know you?
Through social media and stuff, like there's people that don't watch boxing much that kind of like, I've seen you around, I've seen your face, like.
I saw you on that Channel 5 advert.
Yeah, or something like that, or like the BT adverts that's going on and that and things like that. So
BT Top 10.
Or like after the football Champions League comes up, Denzel's fighting, whatever. So then that, but it's mostly in the boxing world, which is I can appreciate. Yeah.
That will change though when you get to world level.
Yeah, I know.
Are you ready for that?
I gotta get ready for it. That's what I want to be in.
This is the first step. We're going to talk more to Denzel about Eubank Jr. against Ben shortly. But first, to recap the rivalry between the two famous fathers, we go over to the green room and our man, Lean Josh Green.
Thank you very much, guys, and welcome back to the green room. I'm here today to run through the historic rivalry between Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn ahead of the meeting between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. in just under a couple of weeks' time. It is a rivalry that will go down in world boxing history, not just over here in the UK, but I think you could really sense the hatred for each other and the animosity between the two over the years. 1990, 1993, the two fights. And going into that first fight, there was an awful lot said. Ben saying that Eubank looks down his nose at people. And I think working class was sort of the word used to describe Ben. And Eubank saying that in another life, he would have been a doorman, a bouncer, and that he's uneducated. And I think that really just fueled the fire even more, to be honest. We saw the live contract signing. Hate was a word used by Nigel Benn. Eubank choosing not to use that word, but you could really sense that was what he was feeling. So we went into the first fight at the exhibition centre in Birmingham, and the Benn team were doing everything they could to upset the Eubank camp. When his music hit, Tina Turner, of course, it faded halfway through. Eubank continuing to march to the ring, but just a little distraction that could have really changed things on that fight night. Of course, it didn't. Eubank went on to get the win in the 9th round. The referee stepping in with just 5 seconds to go in that round and declaring Chris Eubank the winner. Now, maybe after that conclusive victory, we wouldn't have seen a second fight, but Benn really, really came back. 10 consecutive wins, winning a world championship once again, and 3 years down the line, we would see the rematch. This time happening up in Manchester at Old Trafford. 42,000 fans in 1993, an absolutely huge crowd for a all British fight that had world title and world ramifications. Of course, Don King getting involved, saying he would sign the winner of that fight. Ultimately didn't happen, with the fight ending up as a draw. Extremely controversial, of course, being a draw. People still today in the Benn team, fans of boxing, still say that Nigel Benn was the winner on that night. One judge going for Chris Eubank, one going for Nigel Benn, and the third judge scoring it as a draw. So we never got a conclusion to the rivalry. There was touted to be a third fight down in Wembley to decide once and for all who was the best, but unfortunately we never saw that. We're just going to have to settle for Conor Benn against Chris Eubank Jr. in 10, 11 days' time. Really the ending to an incredible rivalry. I recommend going back and watching some of the Eubank-Benn footage, as I have for this video. It's terrific viewing, and we hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much, and back to you guys in the studio.
Day for Josh. I think he's interviewing Joe Joyce in a bit.
Is
Maybe as we do this, yeah. So good luck with the juggernaut. This fight's obviously in the middleweight division, albeit a catchweight. What do we expect to see from the winner, whoever it is? So if Eubank Jr. wins, does it help him any further towards his goal of a world title?
No, that's what I'm saying. The fight's really pointless, you know what I mean? And if he loses, his dreams as a boxer's over. Like, do you know what I mean? He can't be losing to a welterweight that isn't, you know, like world level, like welterweight, like, do you know what I mean? And that's not saying Eubank's Benn's not world. He hasn't been there yet, so I can't say he's world level. But I think Chris can win this, like just like how he beat Liam Williams, in my opinion. I think that's what he's going to try and do, play with him and stuff. I don't think he's going to be the aggressive Chris that we've seen in the past. I think he's going to fight him like he fought Liam Williams and try and just like outbox him and play with him like that, because that's what he's been doing in his last few fights anyway.
Frank Warren said he doesn't believe either Benn or Eubank Jr. are the best in Britain in their respective weight classes. So, obvious question, you're the British middleweight champion. Would you fancy that Eubank Jr. fight?
Yeah, of course. Like, I just spoke about fighting Janibek. Why wouldn't I fancy fighting Chris Eubank Jr.? I think that's a good fight, to be honest. I think that's a good fight for me. Yeah, it'll be an exciting fight. I can say that for a fact. But yeah, so, wait, who's in this country at middleweight? I'm trying to think.
Cash, I suppose.
And then Eubank and then
Eubank.
Yeah, well, you know, me and Eubank could be a good fight. If that fight got offered to me, I'd be saying yes, 100%.
What if it's on a YouTube card?
Yeah, what if it's on the undercard of a YouTube card?
I'm not going out like that. You got to show a bit more respect. I ain't going on a YouTube card.
If Conor Benn wins, and we know he's the underdog, does he then drop back down to welterweight, which probably be quite hard? You know, we've seen like Kell Brook when he dropped back down after Golovkin, found it quite tough. Higher weights, Roy Jones Jr. after he went up to heavyweight, found it hard to get back to light heavy. Or does he stay at super welter maybe, or even middleweight?
The thing is, I don't think it would be that hard to go back down, because he's not going up too high. He's basically just going up a little bit over, a bit 154. I think Kell Brook was massive anyway. He used to blow up mad. And the damage he took in the Golovkin fight probably took a lot of time off. And he was a lot older, which is probably why it was hard for him to get that weight back off. Roy Jones, you know, it's just, he probably was a bit older as well. I don't know how old he was when he went up to heavyweight, but to go to heavyweight and come back down to super middleweight, that's a big drop. That's a very big drop, do you know what I mean? So it's not like he's walking around at his natural weight and coming down. He's actually had to put on weight to compete at a heavyweight class and then strip it all off. Whereas Conor Benn isn't putting on weight to get down to 157. He probably walks around heavier anyway. They say on fight night he comes in about 20 pounds heavier.
Right.
So he's already, he's already big for his weight. So it's like he'll be able to make that down because he's not putting on weight to go up to 157. He still has to, train and lose weight. And he's young, so his body won't hold on to too much weight.
Who have you got for it, Danny?
I think Eubank Jr. I think you've got to pick Eubank Jr. It's a logical pick anyway. I mean, style-wise, I could see Ben giving him problems, but Eubank Jr. is the bigger, stronger man. He can box in a number of different ways. I'm concerned that Roy Jones Jr. is not involved.
Why is that?
Purportedly. I don't know. I mean,
don't...
from what his team was saying, he's still at the other end of the phone, but the main man this time around is going to be Eubank Sr., presumably because that it makes more money, doesn't it? Because it's the dad in the corner.
I think I heard him say something about because of the history of the fight, he wants his dad in the corner instead of Roy.
And he didn't want them both. He said he could only listen to one.
He can listen to one voice, because his dad's going to be, obviously right in there.
But then Conor wants Tony.
That's too much of like a personal relationship with the fight. It's
no. You can see by Eubank Jr.'s face, he thinks it's a walk in the park. Like, he's not concerned about anything. He fought at 168 against George Groves, one of the biggest punches in that division, and didn't knock him out. So I don't know why everyone's expecting Conor Benn to ice him. That just doesn't make no sense to me. So
I think they're worried that he's going to weaken himself by the dehydration and stuff to get down to that weight.
He's obviously made that before. That's why he agreed to it. They're saying he picked the weight. So if he'd have just said no, 168 or 160 or nothing, I don't think Conor Benn would have said no. They would have eventually, but they've obviously tried to, say a few things, and he's accepted it, thinking, all right, this is what's going to make it fair. 157, whatever. So.
Are you going?
I might do. I wasn't going to because I was a friend of mine's fighting in Amsterdam, so I was going to go out there. But
should we cut out the bit where you called it a pointless fight? So you've still got the option.
I might go. Obviously, it's going to be a good fight. Obviously, it's a big fight, in terms of
definitely
publicity and all that stuff. So it'll be a good night as long as the undercard is good. I don't think I've really seen much on the undercard, but if the undercard's good, then it should be a good night.
Ellie Scotney's on there for the European title. I think that's a good fight. I'm sure there's some other good ones.
I ain't seen much of the European champion, but Ellie Scotney can fight still. Yeah.
One thing that I was interested in, because Eubank Sr. talked about pulling Eubank Jr. out of the fight. What happens when he's the main man in the corner if Eubank Jr. starts to take some serious stick or starts to look exhausted in the later rounds or anything like that? Is there a chance he pulls him out?
Nah, Junior's not letting his dad pull him out. Nothing. No chance. But I don't think it will get sticky for Eubank Jr. I'm not going to lie to you. The one fight we've seen it get kind of hard for him was George Groves, right? And the other fight he lost was really a boxing lesson by Billy Joe. So I can't see it. I don't see it. I know his style's changed a bit and he's a little bit more laid back and tries to box more and, mucks around because obviously Roy Jones has been training him. But I just don't see him being in trouble, if I'm being honest with you. I don't see it. But if Ben wins, it's an upset in my eyes. But hey, if he wins, well done to him.
Now, you've heard what we all think of next week's fight. Let's hear from the fighters themselves who spoke to us not long ago.
You can't pass up on opportunities like this. It's never been done before. It's history and legacy all in one.
How likely is it that we see your dads both get involved in the build-up, maybe at the press conference fight week?
My dad would be with me next week for this camp.
How much does that excite you then?
Oh, massively. Having him here with me is, it's going to be nice, man.
After this, if you're obviously successful, for your sake, do you turn into a pay-per-view star for the rest of your career?
I'm not even thinking about that. Just thinking about getting a win. Nothing after or anything like that. To be honest, I'm just focused on getting a win.
Not that long ago, I was chilling in Vegas doing my thing, and I just get a contract come through. Conor Benn, they want to fight. Eddie Hearn, DAZN, they can make it happen. October 8th. Do you want it? Yes, I want it. Of course I want it, because it's never happened before, this type of fight. And it will never happen again. It's history.
Yeah, why in your mind is this the biggest fight of your career? You've obviously been in big fights before.
Just because of, what it means to so many people. There's very few fights that will ever have multiple generations invested in it. We have that now. We have that here with all the people that grew up watching my old man and Denzel Bentley fighting. They're all going to be tuning in. All the youngsters and the newcomers, they're going to be tuning in. That never happens. It's usually one or the other. It's a huge fight. I was on the front of a magazine cover before the fight was even announced. Just when there was just whispers, me and Ben were on, the front cover of Boxing News. That's how huge this fight is. I'm excited.
Great stuff.
You're just admiring his jacket again, aren't you?
Big fans of the Eubank Jr. jacket collection. I've said I'm going for Eubank Jr. probably on points if I had to pick, which I do. Denzel?
Yeah, I'd say points as well. I don't see Conor Benn getting knocked out. I'll be honest, I'm not going to act like he's that small. He's not good at all. I think points for Eubank.
We put it out to the viewers as well. George is going to give us the poll results in a minute. But first, who are you picking and how?
So I said on the Scotney podcast, I was going for Ben. I'm sticking with Ben. I think I've made a decision. I can't waver from it. I'm going through with it. I think over the past 2 years, I'd say, I know Conor Benn won't appreciate me saying this, but he's probably not going to listen to this, so it's absolutely fine.
Sure he is. Don't rule it out.
He is probably my favourite, most improved fighter, which is kind of a bit like a backhanded compliment, isn't it? It's like, oh. But I just think we see him getting better and better. I feel like he's got this hunger inside of him that's just more than Eubank Jr., and I think that will just get him through.
How does he win?
Oh, I don't think it'll be a knockout, so I'm going to go points.
Points, all right. What do the viewers think?
What do the viewers think? Well, the viewers all disagree with me, obviously.
You don't know shit about boxing.
Well, that's fine. So he said Eubank Jr. versus Ben. Ben, who wins and why? With 46 votes, 74% went with Eubank Jr. and 26% went with Ben. Boxing coach said, the more I look into it, Ben wins by knockout. Junior has taken us far too lightly and have been fooled into thinking catchweight was a good idea. Conor comfortably makes 157 and will be powerful. If Junior was sensible, he would not have agreed to the rehydration clause. Why can't I speak today? I'm like,
Are you a bit dehydrated, George?
Probably. I've not.
You haven't got your massive water bottle today, yeah.
And I do agree with him in a sense that it does appear that Junior has taken this lightly. But again, I think he's just playing the game. I don't think he has taken this lightly. I think he'd be an idiot too.
He always trains hard.
But I think he's just trying to
I do agree with that, what you said earlier about
fool everyone.
Connor's got that fire in his belly and he's a bit more motivated than Chris. And just in boxing in general, I think Chris has just made his money and he's content. But I think that Conor has got that fire in his belly and that could help him in this fight. But I don't think Chris is taking this lightly. I think he's just.
I think it's just
like what Danny said. He trains hard. Like, he always trains hard, and he's not just gonna let this slip. Especially where you heard him say he can't let the Benns get one back on the Eubanks. Like, he knows what's on the line. Do you know what I mean? So
it's quite funny to watch.
He's not gonna let that happen.
So if you could make £1 million in what is essentially a meaningless fight, or you can make 100, or you could make 100K for a winnable world title shot. Which would it be?
Well,
like if it was those two lined up same day, which one?
Well, I'm a boxer, so I'll take the winnable world title fight, and then that $1 million will come after anyway because I'll be a world champion.
Good answer.
So I'm not just going to go for the YouTube fight. But if that weren't on the table, the meaningless $1 million fight, all right, cool, man. But if there's a winnable world title fight on the table, I'm taking that.
All right. Now we've got some questions lined up for Denzel from our viewers. I think there's at least
any from me. I put it out there. I did it early. Nobody ever replies to me on Twitter. So.
I wasn't even going to say anything.
Not even.
Just outed yourself.
Real Derek.
Not even real Derek.
Hi, he's not replied to me. No, I am.
Oh, someone sent me something that he said he's not watching my fight because I unfollowed him. I did not even know I unfollowed him. I'll be honest.
Did you know you followed him in the first?
No, I was following him. But when he said that, I was like, oh shit, actually unfollowed him. But I thought I'd just leave it there anyway. But he is funny though.
He is funny.
I like him. I like really nice Derek.
I'm glad we clarified that, yeah.
Just so he knows.
And coincidentally, your viewing figures are about to be announced and they're amazing. Right, let's get into this.
I like it when anybody ever messes up and he puts the same apology.
I love that, yeah.
And it's like a rip-off of Shut
Vile, something about vile, innit? These vile people. That's the bit I always remember.
Oh, he's so funny.
Right, screenshots. Just bear with me. We'll cull this dead air out. Right. So this one is from Nicholas Galanti, who's a good friend of mine. He says, when you last won and lost the British title, obviously it was upsetting, but does it inspire you to train harder this time around to retain the belt and keep going in the division?
Yeah, I've said that before as well. It makes me just do more, just so because you know it can be taken away from you, innit? So you got to do everything you can to not allow that to happen again.
This one's from George Storr, who works for SecondsOut on our website. He says, from ringside, it looked like the last shot of the first round was when Morrison first felt Denzel's power properly. It was a big straight right, and it looked like that was when Morrison's nose went.
Oh, that was disgusting.
A bit of a breakthrough shot. Did it feel like a big breakthrough in the ring?
Yeah, I remember that shot. It landed quite clean, but I think I did see his nose go just as we walked off, as the bell went. But I wasn't really thinking, oh yeah, I got him here. I think the second round, early in the second round, I hit him with a little short uppercut, and that's when I was like, oh, I got you.
You know, they were chanting about his nose, like being broken.
What was the chant?
What do you mean? What was the chant?
It's I can't.
Well, like the crowd.
Yeah.
Oh, swear.
I think one of your brothers or somebody was behind me, and then it was kind of like a couple of family members, but all the like where I was sat, all that section were like chanting about his nose, and I was just like, oh god. This is bad.
When you said a couple of your brothers, it just reminded me of that Steve Bunce thing. You know, when he's with Derek Chisora.
With Derek Chisora. Oh my
What
god.
thing?
Where he says, Chisora says something about a couple of brothers like that he'd had a link with or whatever. And Steve Bunce goes, oh, what, a couple of black guys? He says,
He did it.
no, like actual brothers. It's from quite a long time ago, like when he used to do Bunce's boxing out.
Yeah.
See, I always learn something new on this podcast.
That is funny.
It was so funny.
It's like when you told me Frank Warren had been stabbed, I was like, what? Oh, shot.
Yeah, shot.
There you go.
Everyone stop getting shot. Anyway, at AList193 says, I'm sure the interviewer will ask appropriately, so I don't have a question. He's obviously never watched any of my stuff. Just wanted to offer congratulations on an accomplished and convincing win over a tough opponent. You showed a disciplined boxing performance.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, there you go. A-list198 enjoyed it. All is right with the world. And then the last one, we reached out to some of your teammates for some questions.
Oh, wow.
Trainer Martin Bowers let us down, unfortunately. So hopefully he watches this.
But Chris is something stupid.
No, Chris didn't reply.
Oh,
I messaged him on Instagram and he didn't reply.
Come on, Chris, you're better than that.
Yeah, he's putting new story clips out, but hasn't replied. Which, yeah. But Ellis Zorro,
of course he has.
previous guest on this podcast, was happy to do it. He said, ask Denzel what he does religiously after every training session, straight afterwards.
After every training session? I go take a shit. But it's needed, isn't it? Like, I've just worked out for about an hour and a half or whatever. I need to take a shit.
Worked out for an hour and a half. How long do you spend in the toilet afterwards?
No, maybe the extra half an hour, make it a 2-hour session.
Yeah, so to be fair, when I went down after your training session, you were a little while.
Ellie said the answer is a big poo, lol. Disappears for 30 minutes, lol.
Every time I say, I need to take a shit, he goes, what again? I'm like, if your body don't work, that's your problem. My body works.
Oh, so you've got fibre in your diet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a positive thing.
Exactly.
Bowel movements are healthy.
Good stuff.
Ellis is so stupid.
On that bombshell. Channel my Alan Partridge. Denzel will soon be moving to the hot seat, which makes a comeback this week. Now Georgia's here. Can't do the hot seat without Georgia.
Oh, it's Sue.
Or without the seat, of course.
Okay.
which I've got to say, big shout out to super producer Vinny this week because he managed to lug the hot seat up from downstairs all on his own, which I haven't seen anyone do before.
Really?
Yeah. He's had 3 Weetabix this morning. So yeah, we'll be back shortly with the hot seat.
And I've been telling you from the jump, I just want to fight everyone. I want, a smoke, as they say.
Okay, so this game is called The Worst People in the World.
The worst people in the world?
The worst people
Okay.
in the world. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. People who drop their gum shields and put them back in without rinsing, straight on the floor, back in their mouth, or people that don't wash their wraps. Ever.
I've seen a few people just put their gums back in their mouth anyway, but I'm going to say people that don't wash their wraps because that makes everything stink.
Yeah.
The gum shield, that's your problem.
People who cheat workouts and don't ever give 100%, or people that spar to injure.
People that spar to injure, I hate that.
People who don't put their weights away in the gym, or people who are on the phone the whole gym session.
I'm going to say put the weights away, because if you're on the phone, that's your problem again. But if you don't put the weights away, that's annoying.
What if they're on the squat rack and they're just sat on a bench on the phone?
Oh, and like taking up the machine. Oh, that's annoying. That's annoying. That's annoying. Yeah, if they're doing that, that's annoying.
People who miss the spit bucket in the gym, or people who kiss their dog on the mouth.
People that miss the spit bucket, that's disgusting.
Worse than kissing a dog on the mouth.
Listen, that's your problem.
People who eat with their mouths open, or people that cough and sneeze on you on public transport.
Yeah, come on, how can you cough and sneeze on someone, man?
People that don't use deodorant and hold their arms up against you on the tube. On the central line as well, it's hot. Or people that phlegm in the sink.
People that lift their arms up and don't, and the ones that smell in your face. That one you said, yeah.
The one I asked Ellis Zorro or Dan Aziz.
What do you mean? Like, which do I prefer? They're both horrible people. None of them.
Got to pick one. Who's the worst?
Who's the worst?
And why? Ellis chose you, if that makes you feel any
Ellis said I'm the worst.
Yeah.
Out of who?
You and Dan. He said you've got too much energy in the morning.
It's true, I do. I have way too much energy. I know Ellis hates me. I'm not surprised he picked me. I'm trying to think. Actually, no, I'm going to say Ellis. He knows why. I'm going to say Ellis. He knows why.
He did kind of bait you out earlier, but...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, he knows why.
I'm shrinking on this chair. If you could change one thing about boxing, what would it be?
Drug cheats get banned for life.
Feel that.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with.
Big Baby Miller then?
Yeah. He should
Canelo?
be out there. Yeah.
Yeah?
Even though he's one of my favourite, but drug cheats should get banned for life. Well, if you're doing it intentionally, like Baby Miller, you're gone. But in Canelo's case, if he done it intentionally, yes. But obviously it's harder to prove that. If you're injecting things in your bum, then obviously, yeah. Come on. But yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Someone's going to say I backtracked now in the comments, but I don't give a damn.
Look how small I've got. Need new chairs, guys. I was disappearing.
And I've been telling you from the jump, I just want to fight everyone. I want, a smoke, as they say.
That was even hotter than usual. We need that as winters come in. Denzel, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate you coming in, and long may it continue.
Thank you for having me, and yes, long may it continue.
That was very regimented. Yes. Thank you.
Georgia, thanks for coming back.
Oh, thanks for having me back.
Anytime. Cheers, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and we will see you all in a couple of weeks. Yo, Danny Flexen here. Think you know shit about boxing? There's only one way to find out. Listen to the full podcast via one of the links in the description, or go to secondsoutboxing.podbean.com.
Do you know shit about boxing?